The rain was relentless, hammering against the windows of Lydia's office as she stared out at the city below. It had been another grueling day of meetings, deadlines, and the quiet but persistent hum of responsibility. At 52, Lydia was a woman who commanded respect. As the CFO of a thriving tech company, she had built a reputation for precision, pragmatism, and unwavering professionalism. The youngest of 4 siblings, she'd always been the one to shoulder responsibility, a trait that had followed her into adulthood. Her 2 children were grown, her divorce long finalized, and while she loved her independence, there were nights when the silence of her home felt heavier than she cared to admit. A soft knock on her door pulled her from her thoughts. It was Michael, the new CEO. Tall, broad-shouldered, and with an easy confidence, Michael had joined the company 6 months ago, shaking up the culture with his hands-on approach and unexpected warmth. Unlike her previous bosses, who had kept their distance, Michael made a point of knowing everyone, taking time to learn their strengths and challenges. Lydia respected him. He was sharp, thoughtful, and, though she hated to admit it, incredibly attractive. His salt and pepper hair and piercing blue eyes had not gone unnoticed, even if she'd buried that observation beneath layers of professionalism. "Lydia," he began, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Can I steal you for dinner? We need to strategize for the board meeting, and I'd prefer somewhere without fluorescent lighting." His smile was easy, but there was a glint of something else in his eyes, an invitation to step outside the roles they inhabited from 9 to 5. Lydia hesitated, her instincts tugging her in 2 directions. But before she could overthink it, she nodded. "Let me grab my coat." They ended up at a small Italian restaurant tucked into a quiet corner of the city, a place Lydia wouldn't have chosen for herself but immediately appreciated. The warm lighting, the soft hum of conversation, and the rich aroma of garlic and basil created a cocoon that felt miles away from the sterile walls of the office. Michael held her chair as she sat, a gesture that felt both old-fashioned and disarming. As the evening unfolded, their conversation moved seamlessly from work to life. Michael spoke of his teenage daughters, his love for sailing, and the recent loss of his wife after a long illness. His openness surprised Lydia, and she found herself sharing more than she intended, about her marriage, the strain of balancing motherhood with ambition, and the quiet ache of wanting something more. The night stretched on, their laughter growing freer with each glass of wine. Lydia was struck by how easy it was to talk to him, how his presence felt at once calming and exhilarating. She noticed the way his eyes lingered on hers. The way his voice softened when he asked her about her dreams beyond the confines of spreadsheets and budgets. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen, not as a mother, a boss, or a colleague, but as a woman. It was raining again as they left the restaurant, the streetlights casting a golden glow on the slick pavement. Michael insisted on walking her to her car, his umbrella barely shielding them both from the downpour. As they reached her door, she turned to thank him, but the words caught in her throat. His expression had shifted, the warmth in his eyes replaced by something deeper, more intense. "Lydia," he began, his voice low, "tonight reminded me of something I'd almost forgotten, that there's more to life than the roles we play." Her heart pounded as he stepped closer, the space between them shrinking until it was almost unbearable. When his lips brushed against hers, it was tentative at first, a question waiting to be answered. She answered without hesitation, her hands gripping the lapels of his coat as she kissed him back. The following weeks were a whirlwind. Their connection, forged over years of mutual respect and sharpened in a single evening, deepened in ways neither had anticipated. They stole moments between meetings, their conversations laced with a mix of professionalism and barely concealed longing. Outside of work, they discovered a shared love of literature, jazz, and quiet mornings spent walking through the park. But their relationship was not without its challenges. Office politics loomed large, and Lydia worried about how their colleagues might perceive her, whether her accomplishments would be overshadowed by whispers of favoritism. The turning point came during a particularly contentious board meeting. Michael defended a proposal Lydia had championed, his words cutting through the room with a conviction that left no room for doubt. Later, as they sat together in his office, the tension of the day still thick in the air, he turned to her with a seriousness that took her breath away. "Lydia, I don't want to hide what we have, not from the world, not from ourselves. You mean too much to me to let fear dictate our story." His words settled over her like a balm, soothing the insecurities she hadn't even realized she was carrying. For the first time in years, she felt truly supported, not just as a professional but as a person deserving of love and partnership. That night, as they lay entwined in her bed, the city lights casting soft shadows across the room, Lydia realized that her life, once so meticulously planned and carefully controlled, had taken a turn she hadn't seen coming. And for the first time in a long time, she was grateful for the unexpected. Their relationship continued to grow, marked by moments both grand and intimate, a weekend getaway to the coast, where they shared their dreams over wine and the sound of crashing waves. Quiet evenings cooking dinner together, their laughter filling the kitchen, and the gentle way Michael held her hand during her daughter's wedding, offering his silent strength as she watched her little girl start a new chapter. With every passing day, Lydia felt herself opening up to the possibility of happiness, not the kind that came from achievements or accolades, but the kind that came from sharing her life with someone who saw her for exactly who she was. In the end, their love story was not about grand